In 1945, the fields of Britain, Ireland, and America were still being worked by horses. Farming was exhausting, expensive, and hadn't fundamentally changed in centuries. Then one tractor arrived that would change all of that. This is the story of the machine they called the Little Grey Fergie and the stubborn, brilliant Irishman who built it. Harry George Ferguson was born on November 4, 1884, on a farm in Growell, County Down, Ireland. He was the fourth of 11 children. Farm life was all he knew, and he hated it. Not because of hard work, but because of inefficiency. Even as a boy, Ferguson was obsessed with how things could be done better, faster, smarter. He left the farm as soon as he could and went to work at his brother's bicycle and car repair shop in Belfast. There, surrounded by engines and mechanical puzzles, his genius began to take shape. By 1909, at just 25 years old, Harry Ferguson had designed, built, and flown the first aircraft in Ireland entirely on his own, from scratch, with no formal engineering training whatsoever. This was the mindset that would eventually reshape farming forever.
By the 1920s, Ferguson had turned his restless mind to agriculture. The problem with tractors at the time wasn't the engine, it was control. When a plow hit an obstacle in the ground, early tractors would flip backwards, killing the operator. They were dangerous, inefficient, and incredibly difficult to use. Ferguson's solution was elegant and radical. He invented the three-point linkage system, a way of attaching implements directly to the tractor's body and using hydraulics to control depth automatically. It was called the Ferguson System, and it was revolutionary. Today, virtually every tractor on Earth still uses a version of this system. It is one of the most important mechanical innovations in agricultural history. Ferguson knew his system was world-changing. What he needed was a partner with the manufacturing capacity to produce it at scale. In October 1938, he arranged a meeting at Henry Ford's private estate in Dearborn, Michigan. Ferguson arrived with a prototype tractor and proceeded to demonstrate it personally on Ford's own fields. Henry Ford, one of the most powerful industrialists in history, watched in silence. Then he shook Harry Ferguson's hand. No contract, no paperwork, just a handshake agreement between two men to produce the Ford Ferguson tractor together. The 9N model launched in 1939 and was an immediate sensation. It was affordable, practical, and incorporated the full Ferguson system. Farmers loved it. But Henry Ford died in 1947, and his grandson Henry Ford II had very different ideas about the partnership. In July 1947, without warning, Ford terminated the agreement. Harry Ferguson was out.
Ferguson didn't just walk away quietly. He filed what became one of the largest lawsuits in American history at the time. A $251 million lawsuit against the Ford Motor Company, alleging patent infringement and conspiracy. The case dragged on for 4 years. In the end, Ferguson accepted a settlement of $9.25 million. Far less than he asked for, but a public vindication nonetheless. More importantly, while the lawsuit was ongoing, Ferguson had been busy. In 1946, he partnered with the Standard Motor Company in Britain and launched his own independent tractor. It used a lighter gray paint. It was simple. It was affordable. Farmers called it the Grey Fergie, the Ferguson TE20, officially the Tractor England 20 horsepower. Launched in 1946 and became an instant classic. Small, lightweight, easy to drive, and incorporating the full Ferguson system, it sold for less than competing models and outperformed all of them. Between 1946 and 1956, over 500,000 TE20s were produced. Farmers across Britain, Ireland, Europe, and beyond swore by it. The Grey Fergie became more than a machine. It became a symbol of the post-war revival of agriculture, a symbol of modernization, a symbol of a better life for the farming family. In 2002, a survey of British farmers voted the TE20 the greatest farm vehicle of all time. Today, restored Grey Fergies are among the most prized vintage tractors in the world.
In 1953, Ferguson merged his company with Massey Harris, a long-established Canadian agricultural machinery manufacturer. to form Massey Ferguson. The combined company became a global powerhouse. Ferguson himself resigned from the company in 1954, frustrated by boardroom politics and conflicting visions. He was 70 years old and had never stopped inventing. In his final years, he turned his attention to four-wheel drive systems and new transmission technologies that he believed were the future of traction. Harry Ferguson died on October 25, 1960, at his home in Stow-on-the-Wold, England. He was 75. His death was ruled a barbiturate overdose. Whether accidental or intentional remains a matter of some historical debate. But his legacy was already written into every field on Earth. Today, the Ferguson three-point hitch is standardized across virtually every tractor manufacturer on the planet. It is quite literally built into the infrastructure of how the world grows its food. Harry Ferguson, a boy who hated farming with no degree, no formal training, no wealthy backers, had done something extraordinary. He had taken one of humanity's oldest industries and fundamentally reimagined it. He had saved lives, increased yields, fed nations, and done it all through sheer force of will and the refusal to accept that the way things had always been done was good enough. The Little Grey Fergie sits today in museums and in lovingly restored barns from County Down to New Zealand. And every time a modern tractor lowers its plow into the ground with precision and control, it is doing so because one stubborn, visionary Irishman once shook a billionaire's hand in a field in Michigan and said, "I have a better idea."